Why Australia has a low population. Australia, the sixth largest country in the world by land area, has long been characterized by its low population density relative to its size. Despite its vast landmass of 7 million square kilometers, the country has a population of just over 26 million people, resulting in one of the lowest population densities in the world, approximately 33 people per square kilometer. This phenomenon is striking when compared to similarly sized countries like the United States or Brazil, which have much larger populations. The reasons for Australia's low population are deeply rooted in its geography, history, and social policies, as well as environmental and economic factors. This essay explores these factors in detail to explain why Australia has such a low population density. Geographic and climatic factors. A significant factor in Australia's low population is its geography and climate. Much of Australia's interior, commonly referred to as the outback, is dominated by arid and semi-arid land, which makes it inhospitable for large-scale human habitation. The vast deserts in central Australia, such as the Great Victoria Desert and the Simpson Desert, receive little rainfall, leading to sparse vegetation and extreme temperatures. These conditions make farming, infrastructure development, and settlement difficult. In contrast, most of the population is concentrated along the coast, particularly in the southeastern and eastern regions, where cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane thrive. These areas have a more temperate climate, fertile land, and access to water, making them more suitable for human habitation. However, even in these coastal regions, there are limitations imposed by geography. Australia's coastline is extensive, but large parts of it, particularly in the north and west, are remote or tropical, experiencing seasonal extremes such as cyclones and flooding, further limiting the potential for population growth. Historical factors: indigenous and colonial populations. Before European settlement in 1788, the indigenous population of Australia, which consisted of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, is estimated to have been around 300,000 to 1 million people. These groups lived in harmony with the land, relying on hunter-gatherer societies that did not require dense populations or urban centers. They were spread across the continent, with smaller communities forming where resources allowed, particularly around water sources. European colonization began with the arrival of the British First Fleet in 1788, but early population growth was slow. Australia's geographical isolation and the challenges posed by its environment meant that it was difficult to attract large numbers of settlers. The British initially used Australia as a penal colony, sending convicts to the new territory. However, even after the end of the penal transportation era, Australia's population grew at a much slower rate compared to other colonies in the British Empire, like Canada or India, through geographic isolation. One of the most significant reasons for Australia's low population is its geographic isolation. Australia is surrounded by vast oceans, with its nearest neighbors, such as Indonesia and Papua New Guinea, lying hundreds of kilometers to the north. This isolation made it difficult to attract large waves of immigration during the 19th and early 20th centuries, a time when many other countries were seeing rapid population growth due to industrialization and migration. While other nations such as the United States benefited from being closer to major migration sources in Europe, Australia's distance from these regions acted as a deterrent. The journey by sea from Europe to Australia was long and perilous, taking several months. Even when air travel became available in the 20th century, the cost and effort involved in migrating to Australia remained a limiting factor for many people. Immigration policies and population growth. Australia has historically had strict immigration policies, which have also contributed to its low population growth. For much of the 20th century, Australia implemented the White Australia Policy, a set of policies that effectively restricted non-European immigration. This was designed to preserve a predominantly white Anglo-Saxon population in the country. While this policy was officially dismantled in the 1970s, it had long-lasting effects on the country's demographic makeup and its overall population growth. In more recent years, Australia has embraced a more multicultural immigration policy, encouraging skilled migration to address labor shortages and boost the economy. However, immigration is still tightly controlled, with a focus on skilled workers, family reunifications, and humanitarian intakes. This approach, while ensuring a steady influx of people, limits the rate of population growth.